But, you know, we're so indoctrinated into paying insurance premiums that we're forgetting that if we're not paying a premium and we don't have a deductible, we don't have a copay, that's going to save most people an awful lot of money. And so what they're going to have to pay in income tax is going to pale by comparison to that.
Is there a cap on it? I mean, is a cap in the, I know you don't have it set up yet.
Right, right.
But there, I assume there's going to be a cap on it.
On the benefits?
Yeah, on how much you have to pay.
Oh, there's not, well,
So
there's
just gonna,
most of it, oh, you mean how much the income tax? Oh, yes, I'm sure there'll be a cap on it. It's not set up yet. I thought you meant in terms of how much you have to pay for your health, for like a doctor visit or something.
No, no.
I noticed it said it wouldn't be coming to actual happen until 2017. Are they going to start doing collecting money before then?
That's actually the latest that it can happen is 2017. Yeah, under the law, there's a whole timeline of things set out, and several things have to happen. One, we have to have the infrastructure in place, which is like the smart card type of system that some of you may be familiar with, where everybody who lives in Vermont gets a card, and I go to the doctor and they swipe my card and that's it. I don't pay. The state is on its way to paying the doctor has no receivables, I got my health care. But that system has to be put together, and it's a lot of technology to put together. The other thing is they have to figure out the financing. Now we currently have, the federal government gave us, as I said, the waivers for Medicare, Medicaid, and unfortunately the federal law was passed kind of in the middle of our Healthcare is a Human Right campaign. So it's requiring us to deal with insurance companies in the exchanges for a couple years, unless we can get a waiver from the executive office before that, which we're hopeful of getting. And we have good reason to believe we might get it, but we probably won't get it right away. So we're really sort of aiming more to have it in effect by 2014. That's when all the stuff on the financing and all that is going to be available. So all of our Medicare, Medicaid, and that sort of money is already in the pot, and will already be in the pot. And it's just going to be a matter of implementing the taxes. We also did get money from the federal government, what are called innovation grants, where if your state is devising a plan that's better than the federal system in terms of giving you more benefits, that they give you some money to try and work that out. So we've got that money in the pot as well. I hope that answers your question. And I was talking earlier about the media blackout, and this is a perfect example. This is the day that Governor Shumlin signed Act 48 into law. This is the picture that appeared in the newspaper, okay? And you can see, I mean, you can see a couple of red shirts, but not really. And this was a picture that one of our folks took at the rally. And you can see a lot more red shirts. And if we were standing back, you would have seen people all on this side and all on that side. But the point is that as far as the newspapers were concerned, Governor Shumlin did this. And I love Governor Shumlin. He's a very nice man. But he didn't do it. The people of Vermont did it. And I hate to see them not get credit for it, because it certainly wouldn't have been done without them. And so, as I said, we had sort of 3 phases of this, but the first one lasted a year, and it was totally the grassroots base building and the storytelling, and we had another organizing tool and effective communication strategy, which was called a photo petition, and we called it Picture Healthcare as a Human Right. And you can see these boards people are holding up. Those are whiteboards. They're those dry erase boards. I think everybody's probably seen them where you put a marker. So we took the board and we pasted the Healthcare is a Human Right campaign sign on it. And we went to farmers markets, we went to fireworks displays, we went to community picnics, we went to churches, everywhere where there were a lot of people. And we said to them, hi, we're doing a Healthcare is a Human Right photo petition. Would you like to be in our photo petition? And so we would ask them to write their name and their town in Vermont on the whiteboard, and we would take a picture. Now, we also asked them to fill out a photo release form because obviously we're not going to use their picture without having a release, because that wouldn't be right. And so then that also gave us their contact information. And there was also a checklist, very similar to what you all have in your hands here. I want to make phone calls. We have a float in the Battle Day Parade every year. I want to work on the float. I want to this. I want to that. And so that we could contact them. But the best thing about this was the human aspect of it, because we had been accustomed to sending pages and pages of petitions with signatures to the legislators. And I'm sure they were like, yeah, that's a pretty thick pile. Okay. So instead, what we did was we took the pictures, and for each legislative district, we compiled the pictures, because this is a real person with a face and a story and a vote. And so we took the pictures and compiled them and sent them to the legislators. And they said it was a lot more effective because they're really looking at a voter then. They're not just looking at a name on a piece of paper. So this has been a very effective way of organizing and way of communicating and keeping that emphasis on the humanity. We also had, at the beginning, the first year, during that first bill that just said healthcare is a human right, we had postcards. These are those yellow things that we've got stuck all over us up there. Postcards, and we went to the same places, farmers market, fireworks, park, wherever. And it was a postcard. Well, there were two versions, and one was a lot simpler than what you see up there. It just said, to the Vermont legislature, I believe healthcare is a human right, and it had their name, address, and phone number. We took those cards, and there were thousands and thousands and thousands of them. And the first day of the legislative session the next year, which our legislative session starts in January, we put them on a gurney, and 2 EMS workers delivered them to the Capitol Rotunda right before the opening of the session, which was, of course, a big press event, and everybody thought it was very cute. And it got the campaign a lot of attention. And then we had a press conference, and we stuck other postcards all over ourselves and let the newspapers know how many postcards were delivered on that gurney and what a human rights emergency it really was. And the storytelling, of course, is the basis of people coming together and not being diverted from our message and not letting our legislators, we held public forums all over the state where we invited the legislators to come and hear people's stories. And they would come and people would get up and tell their stories, and when everybody was through, the Healthcare is a Human Right campaign folks would get up and ask each legislator, do you believe healthcare is a human right?